I'm Professor Simon James, a professor of violin at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and I've been on the faculty for now 4 years. I love this place. I had a very, very enjoyable career sitting in the Seattle Symphony for many, many years, and I've been teaching for many years also, and contracting motion pictures and video games and things like that. And I don't miss that. I love being here. How do I describe my teaching style? I would hope that it's individual, as opposed to just saying there's only one way of doing things. Technically, I do teach things pretty much the same way, but musically, I like to start with a blank sheet of paper. The thought is that just because somebody else has done something isn't a reason to do it. You know, I like to ask my students to look at scores, to look at autograph copies, to look at manuscripts and urtext copies of the music, so that they can actually make decisions for themselves, or we can discuss them. We can formulate a decision that might suit their style of playing a piece. I hate to just make everybody play the same way. I want my students to learn how to think for themselves so that they don't need me. Hi, what are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play Bach, Zaraband, and Wieniawski La Cadenza.
Which is first?
Let's do La Cadenza first.
Okay. I'd love to be able to write this down, and if I'd never seen it. When you get to the triplets and breaking the chords, somehow you lose a pulse. You lose a pulse while you're doing that. So every time you get to this passage, the quarter note triplets, and also the small grace notes, they're not longer than a quarter note triplet. So if I'm trying to write it down, I can make these subdivisions. If I'm blind, I should be able to write it down. Try it again with that in mind. Careful of that first shift. That sounds a little reluctant to me when you're going up to the, because the grace note's only the B flat, right?
Is it too long?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's almost the same length as the quarter note triplet. So if you that I can write down as a grace note, but if it's, I lose the sense of the pulse. The rest was good. The other thing is, do you think you could vary these long notes rather than just being kind of monolithic? You know, with vibrato, kind of like on the vibraphone setting. You know, the same. You could maybe vary it and I heard Yo-Yo Ma play once. He played in Carnegie Hall many, many years ago, Schumann Concerto, and I can remember he played one long note. From the beginning of that note to the end of that note, he went through 3 different galaxies. Okay. I've never forgotten it. Try it. Okay. Make it memorable, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Also, when you get to that chord, you're waiting to hear if it's in tune, and then you're vibrating. Let's go straight to it and vibrate when you get there. I wonder also when you're playing the D flat, B flat with 3 and 4, and then you're transferring it to 2 and 3. If they're not the same, they're different. Let's see if you, sorry, but see if you can do that. So when you're getting ready to slide up, you've got exactly the same notes. Then just close your elbow. Good. I wonder if it's just a little pressy too when you get up there. Okay. Maybe a little bit more bow speed when you're actually doing the. And you're actually doing that rather than downward force. Again. Yeah. Second finger's not going far enough. Go again. Yeah. One more. You got it. That's better. I think that's the way to go. You do this really well now. So I don't hear anything between them, but I hear kind of a with the bow as well. Keep the bow speed, point of contact even. It was really good until the bottom, and then it just got a little bit pitchy.
Yeah.
Smooth. Great. I want to do it again, and one of the things I think you're spending a lot of bow, and so when you get to the top, there's not a whole bunch left. So can you think about as opposed to, you know what I mean, getting stuck at the top with no bow? Yeah, when you're doing what are those notes? You need more bow going up than than on these bottom ones, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's really close. Do it again. The second thing is low. Good. That's actually really good. The slide down, of course, again is a grace note. It's not another triplet chord note. So if it's me, I'd probably not spend so much. Well, you've just played a grace note, so not the same, are they?
Yeah.
It's not that they have to be identical, but I think that maybe if the grace note is so long that it's mistaken for a triplet chord note, that maybe that's too much. I think that's much more like it. Do you think it's dia or dia?
The half note. No, I mean the downbeat is the
grace note or the
A. Yeah.
Okay, show me. For me, that's much more convincing. Especially because as soon as you even said it out loud, it becomes a lot easier to do it when you actually say it out loud, I think. Okay. Let's do it just right there again, going. Yeah. Could you be a little less reluctant to get to the top? Since you're following the curvature of the bridge around there, just, again, 2 grace notes in. Right, can't be it. Because that would be 3 grace notes instead of just 2. And there's an accent. Try. How are you finding that?
The 3rd finger first, right?
Try. Good. So it's easy to actually put something on top, put the 3rd finger on top of the 2nd finger when you're going up, rather than trying to put the 3rd finger down and putting the 2nd finger underneath it. Yeah. So try that. Also, when you get to that sustained, there were no fingers here. It wouldn't be so hard, right? Yeah. Okay, don't press. As soon as you actually hit the down bow, slow your bow speed down just a little bit, maybe lose a little bit of the downward force as well. Yeah, let's try you can't move the open string, so find a good perfect 4th. Try. Great, good. Yeah, going to be a real pain in the neck. It's too sharp when you're coming down. I know. Look, it's better not to shift too far, but to keep on going. And that you committed to the shift was good. It was just missed it a bit. Yeah. Try it again. Yeah, F natural, the first finger's too low as well. Great. I actually like what you're doing. I don't like hearing the D string part. Okay, do it again. Really good. I like that you played the half step trill close and fast and then slowed down to different word for the modal change. Nice wide half step. In tune or high, but not low.
Was it low?
No, it was okay. It's just I just want to say it. Just want to say it because as soon as it's just it peels the paint, right? Quite sharp. But as a trill, it actually can work. Okay, so should I try? Great. So many good things. I don't know what the heck he was thinking. 56 notes under one bow stroke. I'm sure it was kind of like a badge of honor. Oh, Wieniawski, he can play 56 notes under one bow. When you look at it, it actually seems kind of silly right now, right? One of the things I feel like nobody cares that it's hard. So it has to sound like it's easy breezy. What makes it sound hard?
If I work too much with my fingers, maybe?
No, think about that. What makes it sound hard? It's the bow.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Every single time you actually find yourself going like this, which every string player alive knows what it feels like, it doesn't sound good. Even if you've done miraculous work over here, if it actually isn't beautifully controlled with the bow, it's all for naught, right? So would you mind trying once for me? No bow, just play with the fingers. Great, great. Really good job with one little glitch. You know, for 56 notes on one bow length, that's actually really good. The problem is if you don't actually sort the two things out separately. If you try and put them together, there's always going to be that committal to the next string as opposed to a morph into it. Now, I would prefer you to have more bow for the string cross, but you have, in order to have a little bit extra to play with there, you have to be extremely organized so far as the aspect of it, so you don't actually, just because you're changing string, you don't want to put an accent there. So more from one to the other, which means that you have to be keenly aware of your elbow motion between the strings. You have to also keep very flexible fingers, because as soon as you grip for a split second, you're going to hear an accent. Okay, let's do the same thing. Put the bow in, but if you will, start right on the 56 and start with the slow bow speed in the first place and morph from string to string. Now, I already heard an accent. Do you hear it too?
Yeah.
Okay, and dare I say you had more bow left for the bottom.
True,
you had more bow left. That was good to say. Can you do it slower, just so that you take care of that first string cross? Because this is the one you're going uphill. The others you're all going downhill. Okay, try it. Try this.
I think
Right, so it's a very small motion, and it's only should really be over here. Okay, obviously it becomes harder when you play it slow, right? How about this? Where are the hard notes? Are they early or are they late? When you played it without the bow, what was harder? The beginning of the passage or the end of it?
the beginning, definitely.
Okay, then why don't you play that a little slower and then get faster as you're going? Okay, good. So I find that actually understanding what's difficult and what's easy is really important. If you just think about the left hand first, you know, it's half the equation. So if you actually plan for the hard stuff for your left hand and give yourself plenty of time to do it, then when it's easier and this sort of stuff, maybe speed it up, and you'll still have enough bow to get to the end. And I don't know that it needs to be louder, but I wonder if it could be a little bit more centered in the sound. Okay. You're kind of playing finger to finger. Can you? Yeah, I think you're going to find that easier. As soon as you have to coordinate every single finger going down, you know, if you leave them down, you don't have to pick them up. They're going to be there where you left them, right? Okay, let's try that again. Okay, see, the funny thing is, for me, I know your finger knows where that harmonic lives. If you played a harmonic, it'd be slightly lower than where you're putting it. The D is actually a little on the high side. Whole hand frame. See, and this should be easy because gravity is helping this bow stroke. When you're playing the up bow one, you're actually going against gravity. But this one should be a little easier, and allow yourself, drop your elbow while you're doing this a little bit. Okay, so do you think you should change the bow speed because you shift?
No, probably not.
Good answer. Okay, try that again, because as soon as you increase the bow speed, see if you can keep it the same. Good. Do it again, still too many lumps. You know, every time you're changing sorry. There's kind of a pull at the end of that one bow stroke, and it actually creates an accent that wouldn't be there if you just changed direction. See, I think that's actually going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
it sounds smoother that way. When you are concerned about the shift and you tighten up, and the bow goes faster, nothing good comes of it. So I mean, it's easy to say it out loud that it's better not to do that. I know it's harder in reality to do it, but see if you can make sure that you can keep your bow speed, your bow pressure the same, especially in the string crosses when you're doing all this hard stuff, because nobody cares that it's difficult. You can hide the difficult. I mean, half the people you play for have no clue if it's any good or not. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about what we do. You know, if you play for violinists, they know, but the general public, they don't know this difficult until you show them. Yeah. Don't show them it's hard. Mm-hmm. I think that's better.
I think I need more sound, isn't it?
Go for it. Okay. See, good. You're right, it did. But now that it's even, you can actually give more because you haven't wasted all the bow on shifts. You know, so we spend so much bow on the string crosses and shifts unnecessarily, or we should guard against it. You had a lot more bow at your disposal to make the sounds you wanted to make when you weren't changing speed randomly, or should I say, in order to help a shift. So as soon as you can actually, you know, separate these two hands and you know, come up with that, do it. It's good. Do it again. Do it again. Yeah, go on. Okay, careful, careful. Sorry, but when you play, see if you can aim for the middle string and find a point of contact that is not, you know, when you're playing it, that you don't have so much resistance in the bow that the chord doesn't speak beautifully. Loud's good, but beautiful loud's better. Good. Do you need a whole bunch of bow for that?
Probably not. But
yeah, well, see, the funny thing is you have to think about how much effort you're putting in and how much return you get. You know, if it's a really expensive note, then it might be worth a whole bunch of effort, but just make it, you know, that note's got every single, you know, dog in the neighborhood running it so high, right? Yeah, I know. Just put a little bit of vibrato on it. Don't play it so loud. Just make it beautiful. Yeah, I like it. Let's try that. Where 4/4 is not a strong finger. I want you to try using the 2/2 because that's with a half step. Okay, good. We need the same C sharp though. Da da da. Perfect interval's too wide. Yeah. Yeah, just because it's E flat doesn't mean it's low. Yeah. Yeah, the C natural, again, the note that's right in the middle of the scoop has got every chance of being a little low, merely because physically the string's higher there than the rest of the violin, you know, just so it'll vibrate without hitting the string. It's the fingerboard has that little scoop there. So that around that area, right where the violin and the neck meet, has the tendency for some of those notes to be a little on the flat side. Mm-hmm. Okay, try it again. Could you, I know this is probably not the best time to do it, but so I won't make you change right this second, but when you go home to practice, can you, instead of doing 4/4 and a whole step, put the notes that shift with the same finger on half steps? Because E is so much harder on your hands, and actually you lose clarity. So I wouldn't want you to lose clarity with this many notes. You know, when something becomes unclear, you'll sit on it for a little bit longer to make sure that it's there. Yeah. So if you have a more articulate fingering for this, I think that would be a good idea. That would involve putting all the half steps into play with that. You know, it's like if you play a melodic minor scale and you play 4/4 on the way up, 3 on the way down, so you've got a half step up and a whole step down. Yeah. Same thing here. And I know that there are smarter people than me that have put fingerings in these books, including maybe Vinyavsky or whoever. It doesn't matter, because they're not always right. They're not always right, you know. And you should be thinking about it anyway, because just because somebody else wrote it, it's not a reason to do it. What works for you. If you're looking for clarity, then the half step shift is always going to be a better idea, I think. Okay. Why don't we do a little Bach?
Yeah, that's a Bach.
So Sarah Bach?
Yeah, let's so.
Terrific. So what are the things you were working on to play this Bach? Because, I mean, nobody can agree on how to play Bach. So what are the things that are important to you in playing this?
Sound quality.
Mm-hmm. What kind of sound quality do you want to make?
Open, very open, kind of.
Mm-hmm. What does that include?
And bow speed, maybe a point of contact.
Point of contact is always important, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're using modern bows, we're using modern strings, we're using modern sound posts and bass bars and all that good stuff in our violin. As much as I approve of the performance practice way of playing Bach, I also love the Scherings and the Milsteins and the Grumios and the older school. And I think that there's room for both sorts of playing. And in fact, I think we have to really maybe take the best of both of those kind of things. So for me, one of the things I found back in the old school stuff is that the tempo was actually unrelated to dance. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a problem. But the sound quality that they play is so beautiful. The note groupings were not all that important. And maybe the individual player was more important than actually the text of what Bach was writing. So for me, I'd like to actually show articulation with sound quality, note groupings, cadences, harmony, melody, all of those different things. And I think we can. For me, I found that the tempo that you use fluctuates a lot, and I think it could maybe fluctuate a little bit less. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes I find in Bach that there's music that's processional and then there's music that's cadenza. Mm. And we have to find the balance between those things when we're playing this music. I need cleanliness also when we're playing between. I need cleanliness as well. So can we start off? I think it was just a little bit on the slow side. Yep. If you play slow and you make retards, it becomes very ponderous very quickly. If you play too quickly, it's kind of silly also. Find maybe what passage would maybe indicate what tempo you could start at? Look at the coda, the last couple of lines. Try that. It's maybe and show the cadences before you go on. Try. Okay, I hear the. And the other thing is, for me, we can't control the open strings, so we have to accommodate them at a certain point. When we've got, if that F natural is too low, it doesn't work well. You know, in fact, maybe the concept of low one is one we can just get rid of. Let's think about a minor sixth. Try it. Good F natural, not too low. Yeah, do you hear what I'm saying? No? That's a cadence right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, it seems to me it might be just a little fussy before you get there. For me, even also just in the first measure, still getting from was good, but I have to have articulation for clarity. The last eighth note of the bar. There you go. this is a little excessive. Dee-dum, dee-dum, maybe. And just do it at the cadence. Yeah, just use the cadence to make a retard. Good. Also, a little bit of that, a little bit of lilt rather than just. Because I mean, it's funny, we're just playing Wieniawski before. What's the difference between Bach and Wieniawski? It's kind of a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Okay, name some.
The style first.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, more romantic. Wieniawski is more romantic, more expressive in a way that the vibrato is different. And
well, it's funny, I'd go so far as to say I think Bach is just as expressive as Wieniawski, but the whole aesthetic is different, right? So what are the things you are physically going to do differently that are going to show people you're not playing Wieniawski when you're playing Bach?
I will just change my vibrato.
Okay.
A little more narrow. Word?
Okay. Do you need it all the time?
No.
Probably not. So we could probably use it a little bit sparser. What else? For me, actually, it's the articulation. It's the articulation. I mean, in Wieniawski, we would probably sustain all this sort of stuff, right? So for me, it's actually part of the beauty of this Bach. Part of the thing that I find most interesting is actually how you can use decay rather than mere sustain. Especially, people have just these beautiful, lyric, fabulous sounds. They want to hear it all the time. They actually maybe just because they've got a great sound, it doesn't mean they need to use that sound all the time. But to find the variation. So, say for me, I like the breaking of the chords rather than playing that sort of stuff. And enjoy the feels so good, right? So often Bach uses dissonance and doesn't resolve for a long time. I always think about, I mean, yeah, so the dissonance, the dissonance is a big part of this music. So, let's try it. Yeah, how about just more direct. As I say, there can be fantasy without it having to always take time. Yeah, try it. And it's a separate note, right? So far as the Bach is concerned, obviously, if you're going to do a repeat, why do you take the repeat?
To make it different. I was playing the...
Right, you were putting some warnings there. I'm all in favour of that. Do you make them up each time, or do you have them all settled in your mind before you start?
I have it settled, yeah.
Okay. Do you ever change your mind?
In the middle of playing it?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I've added some.
It's funny, I love the idea of being so comfortable with ornamenting that you can actually do things on the spur of the moment if you feel like it. Better to have a plan than to not, if you know what I mean. But if you can consider what are the possibilities and try different things, you might actually I mean, anything you could just add a little something. You could keep on, experiment, because, I mean, if you're just going to do it the same the whole way through your life and through your career, I think that's kind of sad, right? If I think about the way as a kid I learned to play Bach, to the views that I now hold, it's just like it's traveled a million miles. and I still can't make up my mind, and it's still constantly changing. And as soon as I hear somebody play it beautifully, doesn't matter if it's in the style that I play it or it's, you know, performance, practice, romantic, doesn't matter. If it's beautiful and well thought and in tune with a beautiful sound, I love it. You know, so it's you know, you should be experimenting. You should be pushing the envelope a little bit. You know, maybe, why don't you try this? Play it completely different than what you did. Just do something different. Hey, you know, you never find out what's going to happen until you try, right? What's wrong with that? So far as I'm concerned, this is awesome. This is awesome. And you might not want to do that again. Maybe you try. It's like anytime you listen to Glenn Gould play Bach on the piano, and then you hear him play the same thing in a completely different way, and you think, well, how is that possible that the same guy has come up with so many ways of playing the same thing? It's because he's thought about it. You know, there's not just one way of doing things, and in fact, I hate the kind of the competitive, the competition jury syndrome that if you don't play Bach the same way as the judges, you're wrong. Unbelievable, incredible arrogance. It's what it is. So if you can play with fantasy, you can play with a beautiful sound, you can play with good articulation, note groupings, ornaments, all that good stuff. And just because you don't do it like somebody else is not a reason to not be doing what you do. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important. Find your voice. You know, you find your sound when you're playing the violin. You know, it doesn't just happen. You know, the sound doesn't happen. You have to look for your sounding point, your contact point, and your bow speed, pressure, your vibrato, all that sort of stuff. You have to go in search of, because if you don't go in search of, you don't find it. Yeah. Okay, give it to me. Why don't you give it to me? Maybe. Right there.
What is it?
The second half. Just after you finished. No, that's right.
Where is it? Can you just do the second time?
Sure. That's fine. I love you. I got to have that F natural though. Right. Yeah, look, it's good. Again, I just want you to be listening so very, very carefully, because I think it's really easy to repeat one's mistakes if you're not really listening carefully. Things like that sort of stuff. Perfect fourth. So in fact, nothing else matters except for the fourth. When you've got this, the seventh is not a big deal, but you've got to make sure that perfect fourth is good. If that finger is, yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. When you're finding an interval, only move one finger. Don't move both of them. There you go. good. Finish the. Yeah, you stopping. Something a little bit different there also. I think more simplicity might be good. Lighten the vibrato. Why don't you try starting up bow? Yeah, I think it probably wouldn't get louder there. That's the resolution, right? Cadence. I don't think it's a dot rhythm. Yeah, what's the pitch? So, nothing but net, nothing between. Just take your elbow and your body. Yeah. Yeah. The idea is that you don't actually then tap. Basically, in fact, even if you don't want to hear that, right? So the bow speed is changing also. It's not like you're trying to avoid the string in the middle, you're trying to aim for the E string. Glass half full. Bingo! Yeah, good. Yeah. It's funny thing is when you get to that, I don't think that the 4/16 is the loudest one. So this is what I do. I just hook the last one. So I actually allow myself to travel down the bow. And when I get to this up bow chord, I'm not going to be right at the tip because there's so much resistance to the tip, it becomes much more difficult to play a beautiful sounding chord. So I'm going to get a little bit away from it so there's less resistance. That would be the distance, but think about it like this. It's kind of cape, Lucien cape. So da da dum ba dee da dum ba dee da dum ba. So I'm just using the down bows to get to the tip.
Awesome.
I think this particular passage has annoyed people around the world for a very long time. Can I suggest that rather than sustaining, the length doesn't bother me, but the sustain does, maybe. Yeah, because as I say, if we've decided that sustain is one of the things that may be Wieniawski but not Bach, then we can take advantage of that there. I think changing the bow speed and the pressure, it's still there, right? Okay, try it. Yeah, terrific. I probably use less big bows in this kind of stuff. I kind of do, actually. It's kind of cool, right? But as I say, you can hook some stuff, and I don't think the performance practice police will mind too much. You know, it's okay. I mean, it seems to me, of course, when the bow that Bach would have had at his disposal was so much shorter and they held it so far up. I mean, I think we can accommodate these things and still use the tools that we've got. That's it. Mm-hmm. Hey, great.
Thank you.
Good.